Well, it's been pretty crazy because this year has been a phenomenal amount of travelling for me. I think by the end of this year, after India, I'll have done 5 international conferences.
Wow.
So a lot of them are SCBWI related because I don't know if many of your listeners know, I'm co-chair of the international board.
It's 8 o'clock.
So that was my computer telling me it's 8 o'clock in the morning here.
Tomorrow, and here it's 6 o'clock
today,
at night.
And
Yesterday.
so I've been doing a lot of trip traveling around, and I go and do a lot of speaking in Asia and things like that because that's where a lot of my I've got my family roots there as well. So yeah, we actually had a huge celebration for my grandfather's funeral, which was 30 years ago, for his death 30 years ago. So we had a great big family gathering in Hong Kong. But of course, as I always do schools and do a few other things while I'm over there too. So that was great.
Wow. That's so great. Yeah. That's so amazing. And you're going to India?
Yeah, I'm going to India. We've got an SCBWI chapter starting, or has been going in India for a while, but it's getting bigger and bigger, and so we're having a big meeting later, right at the end of the year. I was actually there 2 years ago for a Kids Lit Festival as well, and then my Australian government, DFAT, Department of Foreign Affairs and Trade, they actually took me around to a whole bunch of schools over there too, which is just the most wonderful fun. I had such a glorious time. So I've just sent them a note telling them I'm coming over again, and they've jumped on it straight away. So that's good for me.
Oh my gosh, would I love to go to India.
It's a beautiful spot. It's the funny thing about it is it's really confronting too, because there's some absolutely glorious parts of India, and the kids that I worked with are absolutely gorgeous, but there's some very confronting images that you see in India that we're just not used to with our Western society.
Yeah. Yes, definitely. Definitely hard thing to see.
Yeah. But they've got a big publishing scene in India. They've got over 500, well, at least I know of, at least 500 publishers. We've been doing things with the National Book Board of India as well. And in fact, I'm also on the board of the AFCC, which I mentioned to you, Asian Festival of Children's Content. And next year, India is the actual host nation, so they come over to Singapore for this huge gathering. And AFCC, what they're talking about is the Asian Festival of Children's Content will be the Bologna of Asia in a few years' time, with rights being exchanged and books sold. They have a huge bookstore, and I'll send you some more photos so you can see some of those and throw those up there as well. They have a huge bookstore and rights going on. It's only just started, it's in its genesis, but it's getting bigger and bigger.
That's great. Yeah, and so when is that?
That's in late May every year. I think I'll send over the date so you've got the graphic of that too. But it's late May every year.
Excellent.
And that's the other thing I should mention too about that, which not a lot of people know. AFCC run in every year either a novel competition or a picture book competition, and they're both free entry, so which fits in with our SCBWI protocols very well. They're free entries, but Asian-based, Asian themes, and we get entries from all over the world. I was one of the judges for the picture book competition this year, and woman in Mongolia won part of it, and someone else in Singapore won part. So there's an illustration award and a picture textbook award, and this is for the novel, it's 10,000 Singapore dollars. For the picture book, it's 10,000 Singapore dollars. So it's nothing to be sneezed at.
How much is that in American dollars?
Go to Google Converter. I don't know. It's pretty good though. It's good money.
I have no idea.
Yeah. So they're pretty amazing. It's great though. Yeah.
Wow, that's really cool. So what else is going on with you?
Oh, what's going on with me? I had a picture book come out. I've actually been shortlisted for the big Australian Picture Book Awards.
Congratulations!
Yes, thank you. It was a really surprise because I didn't. I've been published every year since 1990, something like that. Yeah. And I've had a book out every year. And, it's the first time I've actually been shortlisted, and you just don't expect it, and all of a sudden it pops up, and you think, "Oh, I've just been shortlisted."
Wow, that is so exciting.
Yeah, it is. It's a really weird feeling after all this time, because I write just because I want to write, which is what I keep telling everybody. I write because I want to write stories and have a really great time and enjoy it myself. I love writing stories, and if somebody else likes it, that's great, and they publish it, that's brilliant. And then to get shortlisted, that's the cream on the cake. So So those awards come out end of next month. But funny thing, wonderful thing was it's Python, the picture book's Python. It's a narrative non-fiction. It was picked up by Candlewick in the US, and I was Googling myself, as you do, the other day.
Oh, you do? Gee, I've never done that.
Oh, no, we never do that.
No.
I was just Googling myself because I wanted to pull all the reviews together for Python, and I found out that it's being published in Danish too.
Oh, great. Oh, you have to get a copy of that. And you have an agent?
Yes, I've got I've got an agent, so that that's really important to have that for me. And they deal with all my Australian bits and pieces here. And so that was great having having that come up, discovering that, and then I sent a note to my publisher, and they said, it's only literally just happened, so they hadn't even had the chance, because my publisher's fantastic, they're brilliant, Walker Books here, and they hadn't even had the chance to let me know, so that was a real surprise. And I said, it's on the web already.
That's fantastic. So you have a book come out every year since 1990?
Yeah, 1990.
Okay.
Yeah.
Since 1990.
Exactly
Okay.
right.
That's amazing. So do you want to talk? Let's talk a little bit about craft, because I've been talking a lot about business and hold on. It's so dry. It's been so hot here. Not dry. It's been actually really humid. That's why my electricity's gone out, because there've been storms and anyway. I got to get that.
Well, it's nice. It's a nice winter weather here. It's I'll just give you an idea. Today will be about 65, 68 degrees, 65 degrees today, I think. Around about 60, 65 degrees today.
Is that Celsius or Fahrenheit?
That's Fahrenheit. I can't pull it off because it's stuck to the wall, but I have my Fahrenheit Celsius converter on the wall, so when I'm talking to you guys in the States or anything like that, I can just quickly look on the wall.
My daughter was just saying to me, and I want to get back to the craft question, I promise. I promise everybody listening. But my daughter just said to me the other day, when they're in Australia and they say, it's winter, do they really, and it's warm there, and they say, it's summertime, do they think, like, we have such an image in our head of what summer is, and the feeling of summer, of carefree and hot and, beach, and the feeling of summer is so tied to the word summer and the thought and the emotion of summer. And she could not get through her head how, and frankly, I'm right there with her. I can't really get through my head how it must feel to say summer and think brr, and think school and think, it's opposite.
Yeah, because you have your big 3-month breaks, and our kids go, 3-month break? What break? They have 5 weeks here over our summertime, and that's the December, January time, and that's sort of the big break for our kids. Most of January off in school. But summer's just. It depends where you are. I mean, I'm in Sydney, which is comparable to, say, Los Angeles and San Francisco. I mean, they often say San Francisco is like Sydney, in that temperature and everything like that, a lot of it like that. So it's not very, we don't get extreme temperatures usually.
Right.
But I mean, with global warming and everything, it's been really interesting because, winters are getting more extreme. We have some really huge rainstorms and things like that, although we haven't had it lately, which is great. Right. But, we have huge rainstorms. But then there's, these warmer winter days, which, last week we were having days that were in our low 20s, which is about 70.
I watched the movie The Day After Tomorrow, and I thought that is the day after tomorrow. That's what's going to happen. Yeah. Anyway, okay, let's go back to craft. Okay. So how do you do a book a year? How is that even possible? I can't even. It takes me so long to, just suck the book right out of my body. I can't even. It's so hard for me. It's so hard for me.
Absolutely. And look, I mean, I guess, being
plus
an
I
author,
illustrate too, so
that's part of it. Yeah, you guys illustrate, and I mean, I can't imagine spending that much time on a book. But it's for me, I mean, I had a picture book come out 2-3 years ago called Sounds Spooky. A huge, did brilliant, with a great book, lovely. I loved it intensely. That took me 10 years to write. So 10 years on and off that I was writing. I'd write the manuscript. I'm not happy with it. It goes back to the bottom drawer. I pull it out again and say, I want to change it and I want to do this to it, and I change it and do it and fix it up and put it back in the bottom drawer again. Nothing goes off. It leaves this house until I'm 100% satisfied. And hopefully that means that the publishers don't have to make many check changes. text changes. I mean, it would sound spooky. They made, I think it was 3-word text changes.
I love it.
In the whole, and it's a picture book manuscript, rhyming verse and stuff, which is the hardest of the lot to write.
Yes,
to get
it is.
rhyming verse right. So, I was really excited about that. Python was a little different. We decided to change a little bit, but again, it was essentially done when I handed it off. Then we reworked it around to fit a slightly different format. But again, for me, it's got to be something I've got to be 100%. I've got to know it's done before it goes. So I've got manuscripts sitting down here that are very much old manuscripts. They've been around for a long time, but they're not ready to go anywhere yet.
Right.
On the other hand, I've got a whole bunch out there too. It's just a case of me sitting down working, and I slot off times when I work. And at the moment, because I'm traveling so much, I can't do any novels or any longer fiction, because I need that concentrated time sitting in this office, surrounded by my books and my stuffed dolls and my little toys on the desk and everything like that. I've got to be here doing it, or on the kitchen table, which my wife actually hates, but then I have to pack it up every night. But that's just the way it is for me. And I have little notebooks. I just try to find one. Here it is. I have about 10 of these at the moment. And, they're all filled with ideas. So, I go to a school, see a kid do something, and I scribble it down, and that's the genesis of it. That's what's happened with just about every one of certainly with my fiction. With my non-fiction, it's been a little different because I worked at the zoo for 8 years, so I was education at the zoo, so I know an awful lot about animals and, all the really good, intricate, gory stuff.
Tell us a gory story. Tell us a gory story about the zoo.
Swimming with seals and stuff like that. And then walking, next to elephants in the days when you could walk next to elephants, and all of a sudden they lift their tail and go all over you. Wonderful stuff.
No way.
Oh yeah, it's really good because then it takes ages to get all the little bits of grass and stuff out of your body.
Oh God, that is gory.
I can do a better one than that. Like when you're with pythons and you're having this huge python and you're sort of talking about a python in the classroom, and you forgot that it ate a little while ago, and it's gestated and it's gone all the way through the body, and then all of a sudden the tail goes up and all the way down your.
You didn't.
Oh yeah, it's all that really good stuff.
Oh my gosh, I can't believe I asked you that.
More of those stories. Anyway, that means you can see what I mean about loving working with animals and things like that. So, and that's how actually I started, because I was writing a lot of material at the zoo, and a publisher picked it up and just asked me to write a book, and then I wrote another one and another one and another one for them, and then other publishers wanted me to do other books and things like that. So it's been pretty amazing.
Oh, that is really great. Yeah, I just can't rip it out. I just can't. And I, especially the ones that are most meaningful to me, I think, because I have a story about something that happened to me on my first what was supposed to be my first Halloween, and with my dad, who's now gone, and it's a great story, and I have written it and rewritten it, and really I have to let it go. I have to get it out, but I have to get the ending right. I just it's not going. And
but I think the thing is, as writers, we know when it's right.
Oh yeah.
And for me,
you hear that click. There's a click in my head that just goes that.
Yeah, and you do the writer's dance. I mean, I just do the jiggle, and I go out and I walk around the house. I know when it's right, and I'm just so excited. It might be I know when a part of it's right. Off I go and do the jiggle dance, and
it just feels like every bone in your body is in the right socket, and it feels like your muscles are all everything's aligned. It's just great. It's just so great.
Doesn't mean though that the publishers like it.
No, not at all.
Doesn't mean that it's right.
It does not mean that.
Definitely not. They will want to manipulate it, and they will. I mean, I love working with my publishers. I'm one of these writers that I can't write without my editor. My editor is a really big involvement in my books. I've got to have them doing the work, working with me. I've got to. I rely on them so much. I'm also lucky. My wife's a teacher librarian. She's also the school newsletter copy editor and stuff like that.
Yes, so that's great.
She gets everything before it goes off as well. She says, "Oh no, that's wrong. You've got your grammar wrong here."
Right, my mom too. My mom's a copy editor too. She only just retired. She's in her 80s, and she's just stopped working for Deloitte, which is one of the big accounting firms, and she just retired. And she my book, How to Promote Your Children's Book, she is a really good copy editor, and lucky for me, I didn't have to pay a copy editor, and she copy edited it. She's very, very good. And I can never remember stupid things like comma inside the quotations, and she knows why, when to do what, and I never can remember that stuff. So it's good to have
just like
somebody
my
like
wife
that.
too. She writes, the principal will write a letter and then my wife will rework it for her and stuff like that. She's just really good at that.
Yeah.
Or she'll come home from school and tell me, oh, did you know this is what happened today at school? And I said, oh, that sounds like a really good story idea. Out comes the book, scribble it down and things like that. And it might sit there. Then it'll sit there in my book or it'll sit there in my head. It'll stay there for ages before it actually comes out, before I decide to do anything with it. And a lot of it, of course, that book that I just showed you, it's like one of 10 of them or so, and I might get one or two things out of every story. But then again, that's just my picture books. There's also my historical fiction. I absolutely adore writing historical fiction because I actually flunked history at high school.
That's great.
But they didn't do it the way I loved it, which was with the story aspect of it. So, and my historical fiction's about the Chinese diasporas. One of them's called New Gold Mountain and Melting Pot. And even for you guys over, in the States and everything, what people don't realise is the Chinese diaspora in Australia happened 5 years after it did in the US. So you got the Chinese building all the railway lines in the US and things like that, and the gold rush in the US. 5 years later, it happened in Australia.
Oh,
so
they don't teach that.
Thing. No, they don't. There's a lot they don't teach. And there's, the gold rush. The Chinese that went to China, went to the US, came from the same place to Australia. So it's just the same group going to two different places and doing the same type of work. So I just loved doing the research for that and finding out all about it. But, even better than that, I sent you an image of my grandfather and his three brothers.
And you need to send me who is who, because I want to put that in. That one is, as I said, I was in Hong Kong a couple of weekends ago for this huge family gathering, and I heard stories that I hadn't heard of before, and I'm thinking, I've got to use these. So we're going back to Hong Kong next year, and I've told my uncle, get ready, because I'm sitting down with him with my iPad. My uncle's 80, who I adore. Wow.
And I said, I'm sitting down and I'm recording you. I need these stories, and one of my cousins wants it, and so we're getting all of this together, and I've sort of got this idea for a picture book about my grandfather, but I haven't told the family yet because I don't want to until I've done it. He traipsed over the mountain. My uncle was telling us he's 4 years old, sitting in a basket on the shoulder, on one of those baskets where they carry him on poles. So he was sitting in a basket being carried over the mountains with my grandfather leading the way, taking the whole family across the mountains. Wow. What an amazing story.
Really?
So, this is during the...
That's amazing,
the 30s. Yeah. So
and the picture is it's a great photograph. That photograph is fantastic.
I saw it and I emailed my cousin as soon as I got back to Australia and said, right, send me the copy of it. He said, it's going to be out there in a couple of weeks. I said, no, I need it now. I want it. I've got to have it.
Yeah.
And, we've already got a big, A4 print of it, computer, laptop size screen print of it, and sitting on the wall at home, because I've also got a picture wall at home with all my family, all the old photos of my mum, who's now dead, and her family, her kids, and my grandmother and my great grandmother, and things like that. So we've got a family.
You've got to write that story. That's a great story.
It is, and I'm sitting there going, well, my uncle's telling this to 120 odd people that are sitting there, and I collared him the next morning. So it's wonderful.
Actually, you know what? I've got you on the camera. I'm going to show this. I'm going to show these pictures right now.
Oh, good.
There we go. All right. So here's the picture. I'm going to screen share with you so you can see it too. Hold on.
Okay.
1 second.
Yeah, but it's amazing. What they did, those guys in those days. My uncle and his three brothers. My uncle's actually the tallest one in Yes, that's it.
Okay, here we go.
My grandfather's the one second from the left, and he's the one in the beautiful Chong Sam.
This one.
Yep. No, this one here.
I can't see what you.
Oh, yeah. No, the other way. That's him.
That's your grandfather.
That's my grandfather.
Wow.
Yeah, and he's you can see the beautiful dress, the Chong Sam that he's wearing. How he got a British medal too and stuff like that. And the amazing thing with him getting that was that he just received that medal for his services and things. But he always or he often there was photographs of my grandfather in his cheongsam and things like that. He loved it.
Wow.
So he was very proud to be Chinese. And it's funny because I'm half Chinese and have grown up in Australia, and it's basically been the last few years that I've been fascinated by this and love finding out about my grandfather.
Wow. All right, let's go through some of these pictures, okay?
Yep.
Tell me who everybody. Okay, so who's this? Who's this first?
This is very important. This is SCBWI. That one you're highlighting there's Kathleen Arentz, and she's in charge of all of the international regional advisors. Now, SCBWI, we run that every 2 years, and next year is 2014. We're having another one, and it's the 10th celebration of it for SCBWI. And what we do is that we've got our booth and we showcase our PAL members from all over the world. So I coordinate this, and we send out notes to all our members around the world or to the regional advisors, and if they're coming to Bologna, they can actually bring PAL books from their members, and we can showcase them. And what happens then is that we get a lot of the publishers dropping in on our stands, and if the rights are available to the books, they pick. Sometimes they've been picked up. A couple were picked up from last time. We also had at our stand last year, which is 2012, we had a couple of people coming through and sort of wanting to find out about it. We did critique session at the booth, and with one of the RAs that were there and things like that. We had a critique session. Anyway, the guy ended up sort of joining SCBWI, and he's now got a contract. So
that's great.
Because of it. Yeah, it is. It's really fantastic.
Let's go through everybody. So, and this is, do you know everybody?
No, I don't know them all. I can't pick them all out.
Okay, let's not put you on the spot.
Okay, this is Kathleen. Next to Kathleen in the grey jacket is my wife.
Oh, that's your wife. Okay.
That's Binny. Yes, sort of. When she often travels with me to things like that, and they get 2 for 1 with us because she does a lot of the work too.
Oh, that's good.
And then next to her in the green top is Frances Plumpton. She's the ARA for New Zealand.
Okay.
Behind her is Angela Cerrito.
Here?
Angela's the Kathleen's assistant. Then there's Kirsten next to her, up in the next to the B letter. Kirsten is she was our international coordinator. Then there's me in the front, and can't see it clearly on this image. I'll have to work out the rest of them and let you know.
Okay. Now here we have you.
That's sort of,
oops, sorry.
Yeah, that's me and my pike. See that beautiful snake, and that's actually the book in the back. So that's the Australian edition.
Here's
the US
the book.
cover.
Here's the book.
That's the book.
Yeah.
So that's the Australian edition.
That's a beautiful
the
cover.
US cover is slightly different. It's a different green. Yes, that's the US cover. And then there's the Danish cover, which has the Danish, basically the same, but has the same as the Australian cover, but has the word Danish or something on the side of it as well. So yes. So
and then here we have water.
That's water. Now that's a really interesting thing because that was published by AFCC, which is Asian Festival of Children's Content. And the interesting thing with that is the guys there, the chairman of the board said to me last year, "Oh, why don't you write a book about it? And, we'll publish a book." And I said, "Yeah, right. You write a picture book in like a day and get it off, and it'll be fine." But I actually wrote it in a couple of maybe 2 months, and it still wasn't quite right. That was my phone. I didn't put it on silent. I wrote it in a couple of months and sent it off, and it's ended up becoming a picture book. It's really been rapidly produced. Unusually, I actually set it out too for the illustrator. Normally, I give the illustrator a manuscript and they work it all out, and because they've got their ideas, and that's the beauty. That's why I love creating picture books, because I have a certain idea of what it would be, but I hardly ever will tell an illustrator because I want them to come up with their interpretation. And that's the beauty. When I'm working with kids, talking with kids too, because that's the beauty of it. You can get your own interpretation of the manuscript. Well, this was happened differently with water, because they asked me to actually paginate it for them, and it's pretty easy because it is a verse poem. It's not rhyming verse, but it's verse poem, and so it's pretty easy to paginate it. And then the illustrator did these just gorgeous illustrations, and the book came out and was launched at the festival, so that was great. And the reason it was done was because, or one of the big reasons it was done, because this year is the actual UN Year of Water Cooperation, so it was tied in with the United Nations as well.
Wow. Well, that's great.
And Yeah, people have loved it, so that's great.
And okay, one more thing I wanted to ask you before I get to my last question. You're going to Los Angeles to the SCBWI National Conference in August. Are you running any sessions?
No, I'm co-chair of the board, so I'm got the board meeting and sort of that. I'm not. I'm actually not. I'm supervising a couple of sessions and things like that too. Yeah, but I'm not this year. I'm not presenting.
Okay. So then, in that case, I'm going to lead us right into our last question, which is, Chris, if you could go to the yard sale of any character in the history of children's literature, whose would you go to, and what would you buy?
Oh yeah, this has been popped up a few times, and it is really, really, really hard. I mean, I'd say, I'd love to have one of Tommy's pieces work. Tommy DePaulo.
No. Let me say it again.
Okay.
If you could go to the yard sale of any character in the history of children's literature, whose yard sale would you go to, and what would you buy? For example, if you could go to, say, the Cat in the Hats, maybe you would buy Thing 1 or his hat or something. Okay.
No, I've got that one. Sorry, you said yard sale and I heard art sale.
Oh, okay.
But it's fine. No, I know that one straight off. Winnie the Pooh and his pot of honey.
Ah, okay. Well, why not? You do know it would be empty, right?
No, Winnie the Pooh's still got his paw in the bar because I want Winnie the Pooh as well.
Okay, that's a good one. All right.
No, it'd have to definitely be him. Good to talk to you.
Okay, bye-bye. Did you know it's easy to embed this video on your site? Just click share and then embed and then copy and paste it in your site editor. Just add it to your site now and you've got automatic blog content. Cool. And your visitors will be so super impressed.